Before we start, new polls, and I'm gonna make some more in like an hour. So go ahead and vote. Do that. All right. Before we actually, another thing before the actual video gets started, I'd like to say that my prediction for the ranking of Alex Caceres and Drew Dober were correct. I just wanted to show that off. Now we're gonna go into the actual video. I'm gonna let Robert Whittaker explain it to you himself.
G'day everybody, I'm sure you've seen the media and the rumours going around right now about the Perth card, and it's upsetting to say, it's very upsetting to say that they're true. The fight with Costa has fallen apart. UFC tried everything in their power to get him to the fight. They gave him the new contract, from what I understand, to take the fight, and he still didn't take the fight. So the Perth fight is not happening. They're looking to reschedule me March, April. And this is very upsetting. I'm sorry to all the friends, fans, family that are heading over there to watch me do work, but yeah, it's out of my hands. I'm upset. You know, I was prepared to train through Christmas, to train through New Year's, to put in the work. I'm already so deep into my camp. Everyone knows that I train. My camps are quite long. So I'm already so deep into my camp and work. And I wanted to take the family out. I want to go on holiday after the fight. I wanted to buy the kids some new toys, earn some money, pay the rent. But yeah, all that's put on the back burner for now. All that's been pushed back, and it's upsetting for me. It's upsetting for me, upsetting for you. So but what can you do? I'm just going to train. I'm going to train my hardest. I'm going to train like a demon, and just take out my frustrations on the next guy on there.
So that's pretty much just kind of a summarization of what he said. Again, I don't want to play the whole 2-minute, 20-second clip because that'll take up a lot of time in this video. So, yeah, pretty much what happened was that the fight of Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa, this is one of the first fights to be announced for the UFC 284 card, has been canceled. And think about this, right? Thing why it's usually when a fight gets canceled, like a couple months before it's supposed to happen, it's spoken about for a day, maybe 2 days, and then people stop caring because one fighter pulled out. It is what it is. Nothing much. People move on. But the thing is with this one is people are so dumbfounded, but at the same time, they knew this was going to happen. Because here's the thing. Paulo Costa has been saying for months that he wasn't going to fight Whittaker. In every post where it was either a poster that had Whittaker versus Costa on it, or if it was an interview about Whittaker versus Costa, Paulo would always comment on it, tweet it out on his public account. He would say, "Nope, sorry, this fight is not happening." And everybody, including myself, because I'm always on the Paulo Costa socials, and even me myself, I thought he was joking. I thought he was just messing around because that's what Paulo does. And believe me, I feel, and many of us feel so dumb for being surprised about this. For being surprised about this fight not happening because it's been in front of us this entire time. Dating as far back to November or even late October. Paulo has been saying that this fight was not going to happen. And guess what? He was being serious, and that seems to just catch us all off guard for a joking guy who loves to joke around like Paulo Costa, Even Brett Okamoto said, "No troll job. Paulo Costa and Robert Whittaker will not fight at UFC 284 in February per sources. More info coming to ESPN." So this all came out immediately after a Paulo Costa tweet. This was kind of like the last straw. It was just another one of those tweets saying, no, sorry, this fight is not happening. And, we all thought it was joking, but then it comes out 10, 20 minutes later that he was being serious. And then sources were confirming to all these different guys, yeah, it's just not happening. So if you want to hear Paulo's side of the story, this is his side, shorter clip.
I don't have any deal to do this fight. I want to do this fight, but I don't have a deal. UFC didn't send me nothing, no contract. My payment so low. I have got the same payment since 2017. I have fight the top 5 guys, and I get money as a beginner. So I love MMA, but I cannot just fight for long. I don't have.
So pretty much what Paulo Costa just admitted in this clip was he loves the game. He loves fighting. He loves competing. And obviously, he loves going against the best in the world. He loves and he enjoys going against the top 5 best guys currently on the planet. But his main issue is he's fighting the best middleweights to ever live, right? Whether it's Yoel Romero, Israel Adesanya, Marvin Vettori, or even Luke Rockhold, because he was a former champion as well. These are some of the best guys, the best fighters out there. He fought some of them at their peaks, too. And he was ready to fight Whittaker. And Whittaker is better than most of the guys I listed. Better than Yoel, better than Vettori, better than Rockhold. And some may argue that he beat Adesanya in the second fight as well. So he has no issue fighting these top 5 guys. The issue he has is the money. Paulo feels he's not getting enough money for these fights. He said he has the same contract with the UFC since 2017, even after increasing the level of his opponents, increasing his hype, increasing pay-per-view sales, fighting for titles. He's still getting the same payment that he was getting. How many years ago was that? That's like 5 years ago. So just to think about that, imagine 2017. Who was Paulo fighting in 2017? Let's see. Let's go to his fighter page. Let's just put this into a perspective for you. Let's say you, yourself, you the viewer, are Paulo Costa. You're making your debut in 2017 against few unknown guys. Then your third fight was Johnny Hendricks. It's a pretty good fight, even if he was way out of his prime. It's a big name. Let's say you were making the same... Hold up. Let me find out this guy's full name. Let's say you were making the same amount of money that you were making during your UFC debut against Garrick McClellan that you are now going against someone like Luke Rockhold in a pay-per-view event for the co-main. Or Marvin Vettori for the main event of a fight night. Or Israel Adesanya for the fight for the title. Super hyped up matchup. It's crazy to think about it, is that you've been getting the same amount of money throughout your entire career. And it's not like he's not getting paid barely much at all. Obviously, he's not getting paid a lot. But I think he admitted, I have to find it somewhere, but he did say how much he was making. Somewhere. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going to find that. Hold up. Paulo Costa. Let me go in people. Okay, I guess it's just not there. But pretty much what the UFC offered him. So Paulo Costa had a few weeks ago, or I think it was a month ago, he was tweeting out that he was unhappy with the payments that the UFC was not being fair in their in what do you call it? Bargain? No, the contract dispute with the pay, the money. Paulo Costa was not happy with what he was being offered. So the UFC offered to raise his pay to I think it was either 55 or 65 to 70, and he was unhappy. He was unhappy about that one too. So I guess the negotiations, what I mean, is the word I was looking for. The negotiations just could never really find their foot, and they fell apart. So Paulo's main issue, and a lot of people's main issues online as well, is that Paulo Costa was only getting paid 55 to show, 55 to win against his fight with Adesanya. And still getting paid that same amount, or maybe even, or I think he got paid less with the Vittori fight, but that's because he missed weight, so that's on him, honestly. But, that's different. But, yeah, nothing much is working on my computer right now that I could go and look at what's going on. But, yeah. Hold up, 40-40? I'm seeing a lot of numbers here, but none of them are really enough. The biggest number I saw was 65-65. 70-70 doesn't count because that he never actually got paid that. He was just offered it, and he didn't take them up on that offer. So what ended up happening was the fight is now off because they couldn't find a middle ground to how much he would get paid. I mean, think about it. If you're only getting paid 55-55 or 40-40 or 65-65 to fight a guy like Robert Whittaker, and you guys have seen what Robert Whittaker's been able to achieve in the octagon and the killers he's faced and the people he's beaten and the levels he's achieved, former champion, beaten former champions, arguably beat not current champions. Israel is not the champion no more. Arguably could be current champions because a lot of people think he beats Pereira. If you're only getting paid $50K to show up for that, I don't know, man. In order to be fighting a guy, a truly elite class level fighter like Robert Whittaker, you should be getting paid adequately. And another thing is the UFC actually, in a way, spent Whittaker's money. And what I mean by that is, according to Paulo Costa, he said this fight was never 100%. So by the UFC putting it out there early, Whittaker and Costa, they're going to fight very, very early. They announced it end of last week of October, they announced it. A while back, around 2 months ago. For them to have it around that long and that early, the contract negotiations were happening before that. So they put that hope in Whittaker, that belief in him that this fight was happening before that, when in reality, it was never 100%. So, pretty much, you can't say for sure who this is on. That's completely opinion based. Because at that point, it's like, oh, but he said, Paulo said that the UFC is being unfair. But then she said the UFC, they're saying that, Paulo was asking for too much and that's why we didn't want to pay him. Or, there's a lot of opposing views. And at that point, neither side is definitively wrong and neither side is really definitively right. Because at that point, they both have decent arguments for themselves, but also there are good claims to be made against them. What I mean by that is that there's no real, I guess, there's no real saying who is at fault. The only thing we could say is that this fight is not happening. It's not happening in Perth. It's not happening. I don't know if Paulo will ever fight Whittaker in the future, or if he's going to fight in the UFC in the future at all, because of the whole contract dispute. Robert Whittaker himself isn't fighting in Perth either. That's been scrapped. He's going to be fighting. He's looking to fight in March or April, he said later on in this interview, but I cut him off because I was trying to shorten it down. But yeah, that's what's going on with Paulo Costa, Robert Whittaker, pretty much summed up. Video is kind of long, 15 minutes, but yeah, just wanted to make a few main arguments. There's that's all I really got to say. Vote in these polls. I'm gonna make some later. I'm gonna make 2 more in like an hour. After this video comes up, they should be out. So go ahead, look at that. And Paulo Costa versus Robert Whittaker, not happening.